quick breakdown of a normal process. Of course, this can shift and change depending on the methodology and the goals and the budget and all that. But here's kind of a nice overview. Start with research design. What questions are we asking? What platforms? Who are our targets? What are the outcomes we ultimately want from this research? What questions do we hope we can answer with some level of clarity? Now we need to go out and recruit. So I talked about, recruiting current customers, usually pretty affordable. Target customers can get real expensive. But just getting somebody to opt into, yes, I will take your survey. This, again, it's kind of its own little mini marketing campaign to build the participants. Built into most of our, this is kind of one of our, I could have put this in our research philosophy section. We think incentives matter. So when we say incentives, we mean literally giving somebody a Amazon gift card, a drawing to win a raffle. What we find is that incentives make sure that people actually show up. So here's what I mean. If we don't offer incentives, the same amount of people will say they'll take the survey or show up for the focus group or whatever. There's no change in the acceptance rate, but when there's an incentive, the people actually show up. So the incentive gets people to complete. So incentives can change the budget depending on who the target markets are, right? So for example, if we're trying to recruit Fortune 1000 CEOs to be part of a focus group, you just have to have a lot of incentives in your budget to get that person to show up for something, right? Like it's just a matter of, is it worth their time? And so incentives definitely could be a big chunk of a budget. And that's something we can help, kind of give advice around is what kind of incentive structure will be kind of optimizing. We don't want to spend a ton of money on incentives if we don't have to. We're not just throwing money at people, but we want to make sure people show up. Okay, so once we've got, the research design done, we've got the survey, for example, and we say, hey, here's incentives, and the recruit is telling us who we're working with. I use these terms interchangeably. Maybe David, if he was on, or any other research folks might describe to me the difference, but actually fielding the research. So that's the time that the survey is getting completed by all these people. We use the term when it's in the field. So for example, we launch a survey and we might let it stay in the field for a week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, depending on lots of factors. And but that's that time when people are filling it out. Moderation, we might use that term more like in focus groups, where we're moderating those conversations. Okay, so now imagine you've got all these focus group answers. You've got all these people talking in your focus group. You now have to code all of those answers. So what that means is you look at somebody's responses in a certain category, and we have to kind of decide what each of those comments means. Coding is a lot of work because you have to go through every single response and kind of say, here's what the data says, but are we, especially on qualitative, this is particularly true on qualitative, we have to try and kind of put a layer of meaning on it, right? So coding, and there's lots of different ways to do coding. David's got all these fun terms: interpretive phenomenological analysis, which is a way of coding qualitative responses. But coding is a good chunk of time for any of these projects. So what do each individual responses mean? And then we have the analysis phase, and that obviously rolls up into kind of reporting and recommendations. So yes, this process could definitely be different depending on goals, budget, methodology, all that stuff. But I just wanted you to see kind of a general flow and also start to see where budget might go up or down, right? On recruit, on incentives, coding, depending on kind of how much data we're trying to look at. If we've got a lot of data, we've got a lot of coding and a lot of analysis and a lot of reporting. So you can just start to see where some of the size and scope kind of comes in.